Okay, thank you. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the May 23rd, 2024 Board of Selectmen meeting, both virtual and in person. And as always, we will start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, as we get started here. We do get along. I don't know, we're spaced out up here, but we are friends. Maybe it doesn't look like it, but we are. Is there a motion to approve the minutes for the regular meeting of May 9th, 2024?
Lauren Raven, so moved.
Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Raven, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Thank you. And is there a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of May 9th, 2024?
Lauren Raven, so moved.
Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Raven, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Thank you. And finally, is there a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of May 14th, 2024?
Lauren Raven, so moved.
Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Raven, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Okay, thank you. Going on to the first Selectmen's updates. This Saturday, as always, starting off the Memorial Day weekend, the Costco VFW will have their annual ceremony, which is 10:30 at Strickland Road. And then, of course, right after that, that's a few minutes later, the annual town party starts. So if you're going to that, be safe, be careful, and don't overdo it. Sunday, we go back to Byram at 1 o'clock for their ceremony and parade, and then over to Glenville at 5 o'clock for their ceremony and parade. And if you haven't been to either one of those, they're really, really nice. People sometimes, I think, forget about those too, because we have the one in Old Greenwich is so big, but they're really great events and ceremonies. And then on Monday morning, it starts early. It's all day long. It's 8 o'clock for a beautiful ceremony. American Legion puts it on over Indian Harbor. If you haven't been to the harbor side there, it's a beautiful ceremony. And then at 10 o'clock, we have the usual conflict, right? We have the Byram event at 10 o'clock, the ceremony at the Memorial Grove, which, again, is another beautiful ceremony among the trees that are there to pay tribute to the Greenwich boys that went overseas, fought, and lost their lives. And at 10 o'clock at the same time is the Old Greenwich Parade and then ceremony. And then following that, Bellhaven does their commissioning at 5 o'clock. Tuesday, we have the Greenwich Communities, which is formerly Greenwich Housing Authority. They're going to do their long-awaited public hearing. The first time we did this, we tried to do it, the power went out. Some thought that we did it on purpose, but we did not. Most of the town went out. So, and as I mentioned, I planned to be there. So I don't want people to say that I'm ducking it, but I have to be in a procedure in the city that day, and so I probably won't be looking great, but I'll be home. So I'll be on the Zoom, but if you don't see me, it's not because I'm hiding. I'll be there to answer any questions or to make comments, but you just won't see my face for probably a good reason. And then the 29th is the 100th anniversary of the Garden Club of Old Greenwich. That'll be at 1 o'clock over at Ennisarden. Lots of 100th anniversaries coming up. Gun Violence Proclamation, 12 o'clock on the 30th at Town Hall. Sean Kelly Day is 4 p.m. We're celebrating that on Friday the 30th. If you don't know Sean Kelly, he's a longtime teacher, baseball coach over at Country Day. Has written extensively and done documentaries on the hated Boston Red Sox, but it's his beloved Boston Red Sox. He's also a Celtic fan, so I give him a little bit of a break on that. But Sean's a great guy, and he's retiring, so we're going to look forward to saluting Sean and wishing him well in retirement. 5:30 that day is the annual Greenwich Land Trust Farm Stand up on Round Hill Road. That's a great event, a lot of fun. June 1st is the last boat club commissioning. It's Mayanas and Casca Boat Club commissioning. That's I believe around 5 o'clock. Somebody may correct me on that. Eagle Scout Award Dinner is 6 o'clock on June 4th at Millbank. June 5th is the Ableist Awards and special recognition. That's at 6 p.m. over at First Presbyterian. June 6th is the PTAC celebration. And June 8th, we have another 100th anniversary. The Baxter Investments will be celebrating their 100th anniversary over in Riverside. So we wish them, congratulate them and wish them well on their next 100. With that, I'll turn it over to Lauren.
I think, Fred, the ones that you said were on the 30th are actually the 31st. Friday is the 31st.
I knew that. I just was
And
testing.
then,
He was testing you.
and then June 2nd is the Pride flag raising at 1 o'clock.
Yes.
So I don't know if you mentioned that. I actually am maybe going to get back in time. I'm going to my 40th college reunion that weekend. My update is actually a thank you to the Selectmen's Nomination Advisory Committee and to Ken Borsick and to my colleagues. At the June RTM meeting, we will have 16 people for the RTM to nominate that we appointed. One of the big commissions that came to us to fill was the Fair Rent Commission. We started our work in April, knowing that the RTM does not do any appointments in May, so we had to get it all in for June. And we have enough nominations, assuming that they all get appointed by the RTM, so that that commission could start. It was within the ordinance that they start on July 1, so we'll be able to achieve that. So I just want to thank everybody for helping pull that together. And I'm really excited because I think we finally have a candidate for IWWA that we'll be scheduling. With respect to Central Middle School Building Committee, we have our final meeting for our final site design with planning and zoning on the 28th of May. And I think everybody read in the paper what we were able to get thanks to our state legislation, both House and Senate, the reimbursement for the eligible expenses for the Central Middle School rebuild. So that's really exciting that this project is on track to break ground in December of 2024.
Thank you. That's great news. And I forgot to mention that we went back to the BET to request again that they reconsider the $500,000 project with $400,000, the grant being reimbursable. And by a 7-5 vote, we got it back. So I want to thank them for reconsidering. Good morning, Janet.
Well, can I also, I forgot to thank Angie, the scheduler of all the appointments that we do. So thank you, Angie, our customer service rep in the Office of the First Selectman. So without her, we wouldn't have any interviews to conduct.
Absolutely. She's the best.
I second that.
Good
morning.
Good morning.
So, yes, this weekend is very busy. I am also looking forward to all the Memorial Day events. I think it's really important that we honor the sacrifice so many made for this country. This weekend is also very busy with college graduations. I say that as the parent of 2 college-age children. So if you don't see me at some of these events, it's because I'm dividing my time between Memorial Day events and college graduations. And Fred already mentioned on Friday, May 31st at noon, there will be a proclamation to show support for what we call Wear Orange Day, to show support against gun violence. Lauren already mentioned on Sunday, June 2nd, is Greenwich Pride Day. That starts at 1 to 3. It's going to be a great turnout, I'm sure. This week is three different weeks: Safe Boating Week, Public Works Week, and EMS Week. And in fact, Greenwich EMS GEMS is celebrating its 50th anniversary. And that's all from me.
Thank you. Yes, and we had the ceremony for Safe Boating Week just a few days ago, so that was fun. Okay, on to old business. The first item up is board decision on the proposed noise ordinance variance, and the Board of Selectmen has our written opinion on that.
Oops. So our finding and resolution, the board makes the following finding. Number one, the majority of town operations that require the use of leaf blowers take place in parks, school grounds, and other areas which are zoned residential. Two, the town uses leaf blowers for the following operations. Cleaning of parking lots occurs approximately one time a week in the spring to the winter seasons, intermittent cleaning of sidewalks and right-of-ways for maintenance needs, removal of roadway debris and foliage cut back by intersection and signs, cleaning up during asphalt paving and roadway maintenance, for example, clearing millings from lawns and driveways, removal of debris from train platforms, park maintenance, including leaf blowing, removal of plant material, dust and debris, and drain clearing, removal of sand from sidewalks, paved pathways, shelters, docks, etc. at town beaches, and storm response and cleanup. Number three, the town currently has 11 handheld and 58 backpack units of battery-operated leaf blowers. The replacement cost for the entire inventory is estimated at $306,000, factoring a 10% contingency for potential changes required for storage sheds and/or other charges, for example, generators on trailers to charge batteries. The total estimated budget to convert to battery-operated leaf blowers is $336,000. The Board of Estimate and Taxation will need to improve this budget before being approved by the representative town meeting. And four, the town is committed to transitioning to battery-operated leaf blowers as mandated by Section 6B-6E6. However, considering A, the large unbudgeted capital expense required to convert to battery-operated leaf blowers. B, the need to test equipment to meet the diverse requirements of both Public Works and Parks and Recreation. C, the need to ensure that new equipment will protect the health and safety of town employees who work for these departments. And D, the need to modify procedures in accordance with the use of new equipment. More time is required for the town to fully comply with Section 6B-6E6. Based on the foregoing, the board concludes that 1 year variance rather than a 3-year variance is justified by overriding interest affecting public safety, health, and welfare. Accordingly, the board exempts the town from complying with Section 6B-6E6. I got it. 6, I think I've been saying CE, whatever it is, it's right, of the noise ordinance until Friday, May 23rd, 2025. So I motion that we accept our ruling.
Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Raven, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Thank you for reading that, Lauren. Just a quick comment on this. So we certainly understand the department's concern and why they asked for a 3-year variance. We certainly get it, and we certainly want to safeguard the taxpayers' dollars. But after consulting with them several times, we thought we can get this done in a year and to match it up with the private landscaper so everybody was on the same page there. So we'll work, and just, a lot of what I've heard from a lot of my friends that are in landscaping business, friends and relatives, is, they're concerned about certain things. The storage of these batteries is a problem. The insurance companies are giving them a hard time. I know I've spoken with department heads. We're going to have to start looking at where we store these things because they're in wooden sheds. These lithium batteries do cause a problem and concern. There is a police department that had, I forgot where, you could Google this recently. A police officer was on patrol and the battery blew up on him. So they immediately took the batteries out of there. So when you hear the concerns by the landscapers or the departments, it's legitimate. So again, this is not an easy transition. I've been in a business here in town many years ago where the whole industry changed and we had to adapt. And we will, and they will. But certainly, again, when you hear concerns from departments or from the private landscapers, it's for a reason. They're good guys, and I could tell you, when we see the people, the egregious violations where people are just going there with 3 or 4 blowers, blowing off a driveway at 6 o'clock at night, just blowing dirt with a gas power. It's not the ones that have been in business a long time, right? We used to call them the fly-by-nights. They were the ones that come here, they're not registered, they're not insured. People are hiring them because they come cheaper. Go take a look at who they are when you call in. It's not the guys you're going to see in this room or the ones that have been in business here for so long. So again, we want to make sure those guys, we adhere to their concerns. But I think this was a very fair a compromise, and again, not an easy one, but we'll get there. I think the intent of this RTM ordinance is a very good one, but we have to make sure that we allow for some transition. And I think this does that. So again, I appreciate everybody's input on that and your thoughts and your suggestions. Going on to the update on Greenwich Avenue water main replacement project is
Yes, Justin is joining us via Zoom, so Justin, you may speak whenever you're ready.
Justin's with Aquarian. Good morning, Justin.
Can you hear me?
We can't hear you very well.
Yeah, hold on.
Justin, we can't hear you very well.
Is this better?
It's a little better.
All right, I'll try to speak up. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Justin Zanellis. I'm the manager of utility program.
Justin, is there any way you could try a little louder? If not, maybe call in because it's hard to hear you.
Is there something that we need to do? Put a
yeah,
microphone somewhere?
He should be able to speak, we can't hear him speaking kind of very loudly.
Can you speak a little louder, Justin? I don't want you to yell, but can't hear you.
Yeah, good morning. Is this better?
Moderately.
A little bit.
Just so I'll have to be quiet, the whispering can
Yeah,
stop.
she shut the door. Thank you. Go ahead, Justin.
Apologize. So, quick update for Greenwich Ave. We should be wrapping up major construction the first week of June. Again, weather dependent. Following major construction activities, we'll be doing our final restoration, which will include saw cutting, our mainline trench, milling, and paving. Right now, AJ Penna is coordinating with DPW and the paver to set the schedule and give me an approximate duration for that work. But we are on schedule to complete, I believe, by the end of June.
Okay, thank you. So that's staying on schedule. As far as the heavy drop-offs in the middle of the night, how is that going with that neighborhood there? I haven't had any emails lately, but we're still concerned about that, the 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning drops over there on that private yard. Can you give us an update on that at all, if that portion of it is behind us, or how much longer do we have to go with that?
So I believe the major work that is occurring in that yard is wrapping up. We are going to be starting another project on Railroad and Arch that will use that yard. But taking the lessons learned from this project, they're going to change how they operate in the yard. So there'll, again, be no dumping in the overnight hours. It'll really just be for storing their equipment when they demobilize every morning.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Justin. We all appreciate that, especially those people over there. And going forward, that's good to hear. So thank you. I don't have any questions or comments.
Bring them back for another update?
Well, they got another, it's another month. We usually do, so it's almost the end of the month here. By the time, if they're finishing up at the end of June, it's really fits into that month to month.
I just want a clarification. Justin said that work was a different project. Does that come under a different permit, or does it come under this permit?
I didn't catch
There's a
that.
separate permit work.
Can you
There's
repeat that,
a
please?
different permit for that work.
Different permit?
I missed that.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Lauren,
Questions?
Okay, Justin, thank you. If anything changed, I know you're scheduled to end a month from now. If anything changes, if you could just let us know. If there's any, expansion of the time frame, just let us know so we can get that out there.
Will do. Thank
All
you.
right, thanks, have a nice day. Okay, going on to the request for the approval of the subleases and rental terms for the Greenwich Arts Council. Tatiana Maury is here. Good morning.
So I don't think I have anything else to ask unless you have any questions for me, but
we
we're
can't hear you.
we're requesting an increase on the rent to sort of have a guidance and a point of start for new tenants coming in. The rents haven't been really raised in 10 years, so we wanted to make sure that we have your approval, and it will help us obviously to close the gap on the deficit we have for the operational budget for the council.
Okay, thank you. I haven't heard anything in the last 2 weeks.
No, we asked you to come back so that we could allow for feedback, and
yeah.
I haven't heard any additional feedback.
So we've been working with some of the tenants because we know there's a couple that might have trouble reaching, but we obviously will make a compromise. It's just for us to have a guidance to start for the rents.
Yeah, no, and I think that's reasonable, 10 years is, and then you're not looking to make money, you're looking to
No.
close a gap.
Yes.
We get it, but thank you. So no, I don't have any questions. I don't know if Lauren has any questions or comments, but.
No.
No, I haven't had any feedback either. I was just like counting up the number of subleases.
Okay, so thank you. So
Thank you.
we'll have a vote, I guess, on this one.
So Lauren Rabin, I motion that we approve, the subleases and rental terms for the Greenwich Arts Council.
Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Okay, thank you. Going on to the last item under old business, the request for the special exemption from the Millbrook Club on their annual clam bake. Is Patrick Murphy here?
I believe he was supposed to join us on Zoom. I do not see him. Patrick, if you're here, please raise your hand.
Okay, it doesn't matter. I have not
yeah.
heard anything. This is something every year they come to us for. It's never been an issue, never any complaints. They usually are very, very good about it. This is just to make sure they go a little bit over the limit of what's allowed at night. They do this because of the concern for neighbors, and I haven't heard anything from the neighbors, but also I think since we've been doing this, we've never heard anything. So they do a really good job there, so I'm all set to approve this if my colleagues are.
I have not heard anything negative either. Lauren Rabin, I motion that we approve the request for special exemption for the Millbrook Club Clam Bake on July 13th.
Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Going on to new business. Request for an amendment to update Schedule 11, street sweeping, and DC Gray was supposed to be here, but Luann Bellantoni's in.
Sorry to disappoint you, but good morning, everyone.
It's an upgrade.
I'm Luann Bellantoni. I'm here representing Department of Parking Services in my role of Business Services Manager. Before you is an amendment to the charter, which in the past was approved, but somehow it never made it physically into the charter, and we're trying to catch up with, to make sure that everything that we've been trying to enforce and the signs match. So that's what's put before you. Maybe in the past, there was a shorter schedule for street sweeping, but now on Greenwich Avenue, it is Monday through Friday, as well as the area from Railroad Avenue to Prospect. So we'd like that to reflect the current services that are being, rendered to those streets via this ordinance change.
Just matching it up, okay. All right, and this is not time sensitive, right? We could wait 2 weeks?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
just catching up. Basically, we call it
Yeah.
housekeeping, but, just
Yeah, this is not a controversial
nothing.
one, but
No.
certainly unless we're trying to keep to the second read unless it's time sensitive, so
Okay.
we'll approve this in 2 weeks, but
Right, thank
just
you.
want to make sure if there's somebody that has some comment out there that we hear it.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Luann, thank you. Okay, second on the list is a request to create a Board of Selectmen ADA and Advocacy Committee of Peoples with Disabilities. And Ben Branyan is joining us via Zoom, our Town Administrator and COO. Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, all. In front of you is a Board of Selectmen ADA and Advisory Committee for People with Disabilities. We currently have a First Selectmen Advisory Committee for People with Disabilities. And after conversation with both Alan Gunsberg and Steph Cowie, who's currently members of the committee, and certainly with our First Selectman, Fred Camillo, it came very clear to us that the committee would benefit to elevate from a First Selectman to the BOS, a full BOS committee. So the document before you is for the changing from First Selectman to the full BOS.
Thank you, Ben. And I agree with this. We've done this in the past where certain committees that we had put together in 2019, 2020, we opted, instead of making it a First Selectmen's Committee, we wanted to get a Board of Selectmen Committee. I think it sends a better message. So I'm in favor of it, but this is not time sensitive, so we'll wait to hear some comments and questions from the public in the next 2 weeks. But
I have some
forgot to
questions.
mention-
I'm okay with it. And Lauren has her hand up, and then we'll go to Janet, and then we look to the audience, and I see Alan has raised his hand, so we'll let Lawrence lead off.
So if I think of other boards, commissions, and committees, so are we going to be appointing the 15 members to this? And will this fall under, so it's just a housekeeping under the Selectmen's Nomination Advisory Committee? And then the second piece I noticed, I think most committees usually elect their own chair of the committee. This is reading that the Board of Selectmen would select the chair. So
Just to clarify, Ben, to Lauren's point, would this fall under the full board to select these committee members?
Yes, we modeled it after the energy management. So the BOS would have that right. And also, if the BOS does not want to have the appointment of the chair, we can certainly change that language between now and next meeting. And I forgot to mention one point, the current committee, the First Selectman Advisory Committee, did vote unanimously at their meeting on Monday to recommend this to the BOS.
Okay. Personally, as far as the board picking a chairman, I'm okay with that. I know sometimes we pick people to go on committees, and those committees will pick the chairman. And then if somebody gets mad at the chairman, they get mad at us. So I'm okay. If they're going to get mad at us, I'd rather pick the chairman myself, so the board. But I don't know what my colleagues think, so certainly we could have that discussion. Any other questions or comments? Alan, floor is yours.
Thank you, Fred, and thank you, Fred, Lauren, and Janet, for giving us the time. I'm a founding member of the committee. I'm the last one standing from 12, 13 years ago when we were just all meeting in Peter Tessie's office trying to figure out what we could do. We started talking about the ADA, talking about it a lot. I think that at this time, just being part of the First Selectman's office puts us at risk. The ADA in this town is at risk. We have members of our Board of Estimation and Taxation who talk about protected classes of women with high heels. And another one says, I'm never having a sidewalk. And the third one is on a building committee, which she's not on anymore, where she didn't understand the ADA. We had cuts, giant cuts to the ADA budget by the BET. We had an agreement about a decision on how to fix Greenwich Avenue for parking for people with disabilities. And our agreement, which we all signed, was changed by the BET. Now we have to have a committee, have a meeting with the town people, where everybody gets to say whether or not we should follow the law. We should be compliant. We have almost $40 million in ADA needs in our schools. We're way behind the eight ball. And we need all three of you to stand up with us and to push this forward, because otherwise we don't have an inclusive and accessible community. And at this point, I'm questioning whether we do or we don't, but I'm hoping that this is the first step in writing and making everybody know that this is a priority in the town of Greenwich. It's not a nice to have, it's not a good to have or a want to have. It's the law. So thank you very much for your time.
Just to clarify, I totally support it. My questions are more like housekeeping. Because I also, in another thing, I just am looking at when would the terms end, and maybe, Ben, we can coordinate on that, because there's certain times of the year where our interview schedule, like we have peaks and valleys, so I'd rather pick a valley for when the
We
terms
also
expire.
have about 15 people already there, so there are some names that you wouldn't have to go out and search and look for new people. You could sit down and
But in
interview.
fairness, we'd have to interview them all
Right.
and
Oh,
go through the
absolutely you
process.
do, including Steph and myself. Not a problem.
Thank you, Alan. And as you know, that we've made this a priority, and that's why we have disagreed with some of the decisions that the board has made, and we'll keep fighting on this, because as you said, it's not something that it's a nice to have, it's the law. But also, it's not only compliance, it's inclusion, right? We talked about this 5 years ago, and everything we do, we try to marry compliance with inclusion. So these are our fellow residents, so we want to make sure everybody's on the same page there.
So thank you. I just want to say thank you to all the work that you and Stephanie have done to be advocates for ADA in this town. I'm in step with my colleagues. I'm definitely in support. You know, there's a few housekeeping questions as far as the selection of the chairs. I would want this committee to be consistent with other committees in town. So I'm fine with the committee choosing, you know, their chairs in, like I said, consistency with other committees.
Yeah, my only concern with that was, again, when we pick people to go on these committees, and then the committees pick the chairman, and then they don't like the chairman, they come back and they blame us. So, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Everything is our fault.
Nobody likes me anyway, so not a big deal.
Not you. Thanks. Appreciate, I echo that. Appreciate all your work you've done, Alan. Thank you. Okay, we will circle back and get some more details with Ben on that, but thank you, Ben.
Just for the board's reference, item C is being withdrawn. That does not need to be decided by the Board of Selectmen. That can be handled internally by the police department. So there's no need for an approval of the Board of Selectmen for the block party.
Okay, as long as we get an
I
invitation.
was just going to say the
I
same
demand,
thing.
I
Are we
asked for
invited?
one. I don't, it's up to them if they want to give it to us. So if you're listening, Shane.
All right, thank you. All right, next up is a presentation of the Greenwich Sustainability Committee, which I see over there, for their 2024 report. I think Julie's here. I saw Sophie and Jane. God bless you. Good morning, Julie.
Okay, real good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Julie Deschamps, member of the Sustainability Committee and co-chair for the Waste Management sector. Thank you to the Board of Selectmen for inviting me on behalf of the Greenwich Sustainability Committee to present the 2024 State of Sustainability Report. The report showcases the strides we're making toward a more sustainable community in accordance with our guiding principles and new vision narrative. This is the fourth year that the sector chairs have contributed to the report, and I'd like to take the opportunity to thank them for their time and efforts to compile the many accomplishments of the committee sectors and our committee partners, which include town departments, nonprofits, businesses, individuals, and others, and to increase the awareness of their actions, initiatives, and policies that enhance sustainability in our town. I'd also like to give a shout out to Bob DeAngelo, who generously helped us to update the transportation and air quality section. Thanks to Chris Herndon, who is a welcome addition to the committee and my wonderful partner in the production of this document. Please allow me to highlight a few of the committee's accomplishments this past year that Janet so graciously prepared. Business sector, led by Sylvina Scovaver, sorry, I know I'm messing up her last name, launched the Green Salon Challenge, an initiative to empower hair salons to embrace sustainable practices, fostering business growth and environmental stewardship. Climate Resiliency, chaired by Jimena Fernandez, is thrilled to endorse the Sustainability and Climate Resiliency Report adopted by this board in January and includes 10 recommendations to work toward measurable mitigation and adaptive strategies. In the year ahead, there will be a series of public engagement presentations. Community Culture, headed by Ashley Cole, was instrumental in creating and sponsoring the Sustainability Awards held at the Rethink Waste Fair at Christchurch in April. Food Systems, led by Ali Giorsi, noted that the Greenwich Community Gardens alone has provided over 600 pounds of fresh summer produce to Neighbor and 400 pounds to the Nathaniel Witherall Kitchen. Land and Water, co-chaired by Myra Clackenbrink and Joan Sagan, partnered with the Bruce Museum to educate members about the importance of native plants and pollinators, and reported that the Greenwich Pollinator Pathways launched seed libraries at Cos Cob and Pratt Libraries. Legislation and Advocacy, headed by Elizabeth Dempsey and Svetlana Wasserman, monitored and supported key state environmental bills and liaised with the Greenwich State Delegation. Transportation and Air Quality cheered the town's purchase of its first electric car for the municipal fleet. The sector was chaired by Alex Mock, who recently retired after a fruitful career in environmental affairs, and she will be especially missed by our committee. Waste reduction, which I'm honored to chair with Jeff Robertson, noted the launch of the Shell Recycling Program, a collaboration between CORE, Shellfish Commission, Conservation Commission, and Waste Free Greenwich. 6 restaurants now divert oyster and clam shells from the waste stream to grow reef habitats and promote clean waters. To learn more about these efforts and accomplishments and for a fuller picture of the state of sustainability in Greenwich, the committee invites you, all of you, to read the report, which will be posted on the Sustainability Committee page on the town's website. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julie. How many people, the respondents, how many people did we reach out to with that? As I saw, you had a number here with when you're talking about what's on people's mind and talking about flooding, and like 78% responded. This was. How many people were reached? Do you know? No?
What, I'm not sure what you're referring to.
One of your presentations here, you said 78% of respondents respond. I was just trying to.
Oh, are you talking about the survey? Are you talking about the survey that's the Conservation Commission?
Yeah.
And that was in conjunction, that was in preparation for the Climate Action Plan. There were hundreds of people responded.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, and it was a very broadly advertised survey.
Yeah, no, I know.
mean,
I was just curious about that because those are the things we keep harping on about, what's on people's minds, what we worry about with flooding and infrastructure and things like that. So the more we can get that out there, I think the better it is to promote this stuff. So I appreciate your work on this.
Thank you.
How did my cousin 95-year-old cousin get in this picture, Tony Marzulli? He's in more pictures than anybody.
I just want to say, Julie, thank you, and it's in absentia, thank you, Chris Herndon. This report, the highlights that Julie just gave are so impressive, and they're just a small representation of what's happening in this community. Every year that the Sustainability Committee goes from strength to strength. There's still a lot of work to be done, but I am very optimistic. Thank you.
I agree, and I think every committee should have Chris Herndon on it, too, so she's terrific.
You should know, Fred.
She's great. She's great. But all of you are. The work that you do is tireless, and it's greatly appreciated. And Sophie, you're becoming one of our busiest civic people here in town. So thank you for all you're doing, Jane, and everybody else that's here. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you. The report, very thorough and very easy to read, beautifully designed. I think the only suggestion I have is to list all the members of the Sustainability Committee in the report, because I know that this particular committee is pretty large.
Well, so this is an interest, in the context of us discussing the People with Disabilities Advisory Committee. The Sustainability Committee is not an advisory committee. It's much more of a network. So we have 8 different sectors, and we have sector leaders. But membership is much more of it's inclusive. If people want to come, these are public meetings, and they're very welcome to come. I don't know that we don't have appointments, though. So in terms of a membership list, that's much more of a flexible thing.
It would be helpful.
But we do list.
Have folks advocating on behalf of the committee. It would just be helpful to know, for others in the community.
Absolutely. Well, we definitely, we list our sector chairs, and we will be working this summer on a directory, which is not necessarily a membership list, but people who have expressed interest in the committee.
Yeah, I think that'd be really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you for all your work on this. It's great for someone like me who, in 2019, when I said, well, I want to establish this, and then we did, it's one of those things that I don't even have to look at, because I know there's so much work getting done there, and I attended a few of the meetings in the past couple of years, and the passion and the involvement there is phenomenal. So thank you for all your passion and leading it, and for all of the passionate leaders that you have on the committee. Thank you. Okay, next up, we're going to hear the public hearing on the noise ordinance variance request, the various requests. Now, I've spoken to a few people already. Jeff Greco, who's not here today, is a friend. I spoke with him this morning. But I just want to clarify, because a couple people had called me and weren't aware. They were asking for the same thing as the town got. So we've done that already. So even though we understood the 3-year request, it's down to 1 year. So if that settles your concern, I ask that either you state that, or you could pass on the request. But if you have something else you want to say, please. This will be the time to do it. Jeff is not here, so we're going to go on to the next one in line here, and that's the request of public hearing on the noise ordinance variance from Briggs Landscaping Design. So are they members here? Yes, they're. Good morning.
Barbara, do we have to formally open?
Yeah. Excuse me. So just because these are all separate public hearings, so as you mentioned, Mr. Greco is not here, but so is he not moving forward on the application, or is there a need to continue that
He was
public
okay
hearing?
with my explanation today. I can call him up again, but I don't think he was going forward. I can double check with him. So just so you know, because this can get chaotic and unwieldy, do we have to open up a public hearing for each one of these?
Yes.
So if 100 landscapers come here and they want to request a variance, even though we've already matched it up, we have to open the public hearing, keep it open, and close each hearing.
Yes, unfortunately, that's the way it needs to be done. So that's why I just want to clarify, perhaps if you're not absolutely sure about what Mr. Greco plans to do,
I'll
you
have
should
him come
make it
back.
clear
Yeah.
that you're continuing the public hearing on this particular application.
Okay, yeah, I don't think he is, but I can certainly, I don't know if I can get a hold of him now.
And then if he's not at the next meeting,
Okay.
the public hearing is, you can simply mention that the application has been withdrawn, and that would be the
Okay,
end
yeah,
of it.
just to be safe.
So,
Okay.
But just to
Say the
make sure we
public
have
hea-
the proper procedure.
So when we're opening a public hearing, we just state it's open, and we're going to keep it open until the next meeting, which we're not meeting until in
June
3 more.
13th.
June, so.
Right.
So it's 3 weeks, correct? That's 3 weeks, so, okay.
Right. So that's
I'll-
my recommendation
Okay.
for each of these, that the
I'll call
public
Jeff.
hearing be opened and continued
Okay.
until the next
Okay.
meeting, which will
Okay.
give you enough time then to come up with your decision within the 10 business days like you did for the town.
All right, so we are opening the one for Jeff Greco,
We'll
even though he's not here.
Yes, and
Okay.
I'll, if it's withdrawn, I'll mention it the next one, but certainly I'll give Jeff a call later today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. So we'll go on to we'll keep that open, and we're going to go on, open a public hearing from the request from Briggs Landscaping. And
If you could just identify yourself for the record when you're at the microphone. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
morning.
My name is Kate Briggs. Good morning, selectmen, people and women. I do request this variance, and it sounds like every landscaper has to put one in for themselves. I would like it in writing, though, that if we do get it, because the harassment that's going on behind the scenes is becoming noticeable. And not just my company, but I'm hearing it from other companies, I'm hearing it from town workers, I'm hearing it from a lot of people. So I just would like the variance to be in writing and official for each company or in generally out on the public, or if it's all landscapers, if it's all town and landscapers. That's kind of my concern.
Okay, Kate, before I ask you a question, just to clarify, so with the RTM passed, okay, is it starts this year, but you're not going to get any fines this year. So as I've been telling people, just start doing it now. You'll get warnings all summer long. I'd rather you not go through that, but you will not be getting fined. That will start next year. But certainly, this is so it's confusing. The way this is written is very confusing. So again, consider it this year, but you're not going to be fined this year. So it gives you a little bit of time to catch up. But I do want to ask you, you said that about the harassment, and I've gotten a lot of calls from landscapers where people are coming out of their houses and yelling at them, even though this is not even to May 31st. And that's why as much as we put things out there, people will read a headline or somebody will post something on Facebook that's wrong. And next thing you know, there's 150 comments on something was misinformation from the get-go. So if somebody's using a gas power blower up to now, all right, they were not in violation. So as I mentioned to people, do not engage because that's only going to escalate it. Just tell them that you're complying with the law, the ordinance, and just tell them to call us or the police department. And then because engaging in it, just no good's going to come from that.
Okay.
But
But I would like it in writing officially, because it just seems like things are going one way, then this
Yeah.
way, and we're working, and it's
know.
very hard.
I know. So we'll get something out there again. And we have something again going in the e-blast, which hits up, 25,000 emails.
Yes.
Even with that, it's not going to, so we're going to, I'll say it on the radio tomorrow morning. I'll continue to put it up. We'll put it on all the social media pages.
Thank you.
And the police department they're aware of it, but certainly if somebody's coming out and yelling and just don't engage, just say, we're complying, call the police department. And this way it doesn't escalate because I've gotten several calls now, so. And I think there's a frustration level, I think, sometimes with people working from home, right? And that's one of the things that really, inspired this whole movement. So I think,
And I understand that you're working from home, and that's different, because when you were in an office building, they would tend to be maintained at night or on the weekends, but now, where is that time frame? I do have a couple clients, or I've seen a few for the Friends clients, they have noise-canceling headphones when they know the landscaper's coming, and they just continue working, and we do our job, and then we leave. So, I don't need every kid and every person to go out and do that, but there's other solutions. Why is it the landscaper? So, thank you very much.
thank you, Kate.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you, appreciate it. So we will keep this open, and we will see you on June 13th, and we will get something out there again. The next up is the public hearing request from Eric Anderson Landscaping Contractors. Is Eric here? Hey, Eric, how are you?
Hello, thanks for having me.
Could you just identify yourself, please?
Eric Anderson
Thank
from
you,
E.
sir.
Anderson Landscape. I guess I would just like to continue with, keep applying for the variance, and I just have a question. Can private residences apply for this as well? Because I have plenty of clients that have asked
For their own personal use?
for their property, their personal use or anyone else.
Yeah, well, seeing that we're holding the town to that standard, I would think, you can't ignore one segment of the population. So yeah, they could. There's 63,300 people here. Hopefully they would all apply for a variance, but yeah, I
I
mean.
got a couple hundred that have asked, so I guess that meeting on the 13th is gonna be a long one.
Oh, God, yeah, no. Well, again, I think the main concern I heard from landscapers was, we get this, it's coming, and a lot of us are already starting to do this, but, they were concerned about, giving the town a 3-year variance, which we took care of. So we
Yes.
matched it up with what you have to abide by. So I think that answers that question, but again, you do get this 1 year without a fine. It gives you some time to do it. You don't have, the gas-powered ones, you don't have to throw away, because obviously you have the shoulder seasons, and that's important. It's just for those 4 months in the summer, to give it a break from that. So, I don't have a big yard personally, but I have both. So, and I love my little electric one. It works on my yard, but I get it. Some people have a lot bigger yards and they're concerned about it. But this is more, the shoulder seasons are not being touched. And
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, one more thing, just for, not to beat a dead horse with the clarification. I know there was an e-blast that went out to police department, I think this week, correct? And I had a couple cops that I know, buddies of mine, they called and said, what are you guys all worried about? It doesn't even apply to properties over 2 acres. And I know the wording on the, earlier start time in the fall, I'm not positive what it is, I can't quote it right now. But like, there's definitely confusion, and I just wanted to.
There's confusion. Something went out from a town, and I can't clarify what department sent it out, because I asked, that was a little misleading and confusing too. So, again, it's the beginning of this, right? And so the way this was worded in the RTM, it's really confusing. So people think that, there's no ordinance, it starts next year. Well, it starts this year, but you're getting a waiver on the fines. So that's kind of, in essence, it's matched up with the town now. So, again, and if,
I'm listening to this, I think, yes, you're not gonna get fines, but people could still complain.
oh yeah,
right?
no,
So
absolutely.
they
So
can
that's why we're
still-
saying, get used to doing it now.
At what point is it harassment?
Well, no, that's a fair point, and, it's really sad. It's really sad, if you can't be nice, be quiet. I mean, seriously, this is
Not
an
in
adjustment
Greenwich.
for everybody. I don't mean you, I mean people who are harassing you. Sorry, I don't mean you.
No, I'm saying, I get it. I mean, I don't care what my neighbor
I see it too. I
does.
see it on social media. It's like, everyone just needs to, take it down a notch. This is new, we're adjusting, and no one's doing something, because they want to not comply. This is an adjustment period, and maybe folks, just lost their patience over the years, but I would ask people, just take it down a notch.
And we'll get there. And as mentioned a couple of times, in 1989, 1991, there was a recycling mandate. So I was back in the 80s and early 90s, I was in the waste disposal business and recycling business. And people were really going crazy. The old timers were in the business saying, we're working more for less, and they were scared they're going to lose it. And it was a couple of years of uncertainty, but we got it. And we got it down pat. People were fine. Their businesses were protected. People were happy, but it takes a little bit of time. And again, somebody's been doing something for decades and decades, and this is a new thing. So as Lauren said, we ask for patience. We ask for people to be respectful and polite. If it's in June and you see somebody with a gas power, you can say something to them, but say it nicely. Say, hey, Joe or Eric, do you know there's this ordinance? Rather than open up your window and yelling and screaming, because that just, someone's working hard.
Pictures.
Taking pictures. I mean, and going on social media, that gets old. It really gets old, and it aggravates me. I see it all the time. I can't read a lot of it because it just makes me angry. Just people go on social media and that's what they do all day long. And unfortunately.
We know. We've seen the landscapers get posted on social media by a select, account.
Yeah. So, but anyway,
We see it.
We appreciate it. But, I don't know, the answer to your question that hasn't been asked about private residents doing that. Hopefully they won't.
I think most of them didn't know. This was kind of just, pushed on them. I mean, listen,
Well,
Greenwich
you could
is-
say, again, we've matched it up. I mean, that was the main thing. We heard that it's been matched up. So we're just telling everybody, do your best, and I understand insurance issues, that's another thing. That's a very real thing, and that people have to be aware of it. The town is also concerned about that, but we'll work through it. We'll get there.
Perfect.
We'll get there.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Eric.
So I have 3 points. I'm not sure when the best time is to make them. Okay, so I'll go ahead. All right, so just to be super clear, this year of transition doesn't mean that people don't have to comply. It simply means that there's no fines.
Which I said that, yeah.
Yeah, I know you said that. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
I'm trying to make that point very, very clear. The town did produce flyers, so if landscapers are in compliance and people are complaining, maybe, I agree, the best is not to engage, but this is something of a public education process, and so, landscapers might want to arm themselves with these flyers to hand out if people are complaining against them. In terms of new people coming to apply for a variance, we can't even consider a variance unless there are overriding health and safety considerations. So when people are coming before us to petition for a variance, I think we have to be really clear, and Barbara, if you want to speak to that, please do, since I'm not the lawyer here.
The engineer.
Yeah, I'm happy to, and it is clear in the written decision that you all voted on today and that you'll be signing. There is a high standard for granting a variance, and as you said, there has to be an overriding interest affecting the public safety, health, and welfare. And you made those specific findings for the town based on the evidence that was presented. So there needs to be, for all of these applications, if you wanted to grant some type of variance, and obviously you don't need to, there would have to be that evidence. So, right, just to clarify that.
Thank you.
Right, and so far I haven't heard any evidence to that.
Yeah, and that's why, and it's not their fault. I think there's a lot of confusion out there. So I even had a cousin who called me up and said, what form do I have to come in there and sign for the variance? So that's what he heard. He was told that by several people.
Right.
So there is a lot of confusion out there, and I don't think it's anybody's fault. It's just, again, unfortunately, social media doesn't help this, because somebody posts something that's wrong and immediately they're off to the races. So, the standard's high, but again, we will keep these open, these ones here for 3 weeks, and then we'll probably close them out that day. But
And that's why I think that's another good reason for keeping the public
Yeah.
hearing open. So if there's any confusion, if
Yeah.
there's additional evidence that
Yeah.
needs to be presented, there's time to do that.
yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, next up is the variance request from Old Glory Landscaping and Property Management, LLC. Morning.
Good morning.
Sir, if you could just identify yourself for the record, please.
Chris Mancini, Old Glory Landscaping and Property Maintenance LLC.
Mancini, M-A-N-C-I-N-I?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for hearing me, sir.
Thanks, Chris.
Microphone on?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, great.
I've written a letter to you about the time frame on this, and I'm coming to you on a bended knee to ask for permission to have a longer period because of the past meetings I've had with the fire marshal in the town that my company is in. According to the fire marshal, we can no longer house gasoline products and equipment along with battery-operated equipment. And that goes the same thing with transportation. So when you're asking to say using battery-operated backpack blowers, according to DOT, you cannot transfer them in the same vehicle. That's one problem. The other problem is going to be that since we can't store this stuff in the same facility, now a company my size has to buy another facility or rent another facility to separate everything so I don't end up with $10,000 fines. For my company, the size of my company, it's going to cost anywhere between $500,000 to $750,000 to go full electric. And I believe at some point, we're going to have to do that. That's just the way that the industry is going. And I'm fine with that. I'll do whatever you're telling me to do, but I want people to start thinking about putting companies out of business that can't afford to do this. People started businesses and decided they wanted to do this to be able to provide a better life for their families and their children. How many broken promises are we going to have because companies went out of businesses and the parents can't afford to send their kids to college now? I want you to think about that, because that's a bigger concern to me. I can afford to spend that kind of money to buy the equipment and do what I have to do because that's what you want. But there's a lot involved in this that we need time for. First of all, the equipment that we're being told to purchase right now isn't up to par for the quality of work that I perform. This isn't a year, 2 years from now. This is multiple years down the road. That's why I asked for at least 3 years. I don't work in Riverside, Coscob, or any of those areas, Old Greenwich. All my stuff is mid-country, backcountry. I have anywhere between 5-acre properties up to 100-acre property. How are we supposed to perform our services with this battery-operated equipment that runs anywhere between 20 minutes to 2 hours? It's impossible. And as far as for the mobile transferring station, the person that Quiet Lawns or Quiet Yards, whatever this company is, or whatever they are, that's pushing them, DOT says it's illegal to do that. There's certain measurements that have to be up to DOT standard for that. So this all takes time, from going from DOT, insurance companies, fire marshals, finding places. This isn't tomorrow we're supposed to buy all this and everything's going to be happy, because then who do I go with all these fines and tickets from the police department and DOT? It's just something that you need to think about. I don't have a problem with what you want, but I want to be able to provide the quality of service that I provide for my clients with the right equipment. I don't want to be forced into buying stuff that I'm going to have to make that amount of an investment, and then 2 years down the road, it's going to be useless and have to make the same kind of investment.
Chris, when you say storage, so currently is it in a wooden structure?
No, so in my case, I have to house 30 gas cans in a fireproof containment system, and then another building. I have buildings. I don't have just like a backyard garage or anything like that. I have to either purchase or find a place to rent that's going to be safe enough to have this battery-operated equipment in it, and have to have extinguisher systems in case it does catch on fire. And then there's the reality of what happens if we go with days on end without power. How does this stuff get charged? I have to put a whole house generator in to charge batteries. This is a huge investment. And if I have to do it, I have to do it. You're not going to put me out of business. But I'm saying, think about the other people. My company goes out to work at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we leave at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. 5 days a week, sir. I can't work on the properties that I work on the weekend. I talked with you about a property on Deer Park. You may remember me. Okay, you know the situation with those areas. We can't work on the weekends there. I'm not the culprit. I'm not the problem. I just want to be able to do this the right way. I don't want to be forced into having to pay for all this stuff, and it's going to be wrong. I want to do it the right way.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. Okay.
Fred, we have a few members of the public, I think, who'd like to speak on this as well. They signed the sign-in sheet. When would be the good time to let them speak?
We have two more. We have two more. Okay. So as soon as the next up is Roberto Fernandez, and then Michael Sinisi and company. Good morning, Roberto.
Good morning, Fred. Everybody, Roberto Fernandez from Roberto Fernandez Landscaping, and also residents of Greenwich. Fred, you say something very true. This is not an easy transition, and I appreciate you saying that, because it's not going to be easy transition for all of us. and then we need the time. That's why we requested the variance, and I appreciate that you will give us the variance. And I would like to have it in writing. And the reason is because, like everybody mentioned, there's a lot of harassment into the landscapers. And if we have something in writing official coming from from you guys, we can have it in all the trucks. It's under our name, this variance, and we can present it to different homeowners that they are coming and harassing the crews. They already started, so we don't want that. Another reason to get this variance is to experiment more that we're trying to do, is finding the right equipment for our size of operation. As I mentioned before, I've been very busy talking to insurance companies regarding this, because it's going to be a request. Legal business, they're going to be, we carry all insurance, but we're going to have a separate policy for these lithium batteries. Our insurance company is not going to cover for that. At the same time, the request for these batteries, where they're going to be storage. Everybody said the same thing. The batteries have to be stored separate from any fertilizer or fuel that you have. So we're going to have a separate building. There has to be climate control. At the same time, they're requesting to have this type of safe, like fireproof safe boxes that will hold 45 minutes of a fire in case of an event that one of the batteries goes ignited. And on the side, we need to have a giant metal drum with water in case of a fire to be able to dump the battery into the fire. So there's a lot of steps here to be able to go in the transition, but we need time. Yes, a year is not going to be enough, but also we have to think about all these steps that we need to do. As I mentioned to you before, my yard doesn't have electricity. So how am I going to charge that? My landlord is not going to bring power into to this facility. So I'm going to be out of pocket. And I'm still waiting an answer from my landlord that I still have a 6-year lease to see if he's going to allow me to store these lithium batteries. There's no housing, there's no building, it's just a parking lot. So I need to make an investment in bringing power. And that's another expense that is going to come to me, and it's going to be hard. Then also, some of the owners are also requesting not to charge these batteries at their properties. So now we're going to be forced to spend money on a generator to be able to charge it on the road. Is that legal to carry that? I visit one of the dealers this year, past Saturday, not Chapeta, in Nelson Chapeta in Stanford. And the same thing, he's telling me that his insurance company, his building where he's setting up the shop, is requesting to buy these structures to hold the batteries in case of a fire. And these structures, they're $13,000 for the cost of that. And the same thing with having a drum of water to hold the batteries in case of a fire. And also, the reason that we're in this mess, I said before, we are here because of the out-of-towners landscapers. All these fly-by-night gypsies landscapers that they're working till 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, starting at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday or a Sunday, and they don't care, and then there's no policing on that, or there's nobody's doing anything about it unless somebody calls. So I think by starting going after these landscapers, you notice a big difference in noise reduction in Greenwich. And the same thing is like minimizing the use of blowers, to one blower in the summer. There's not much to blow, but at the same time, the cost of these blowers, the batteries, I know that the technology keeps changing every year, every month. Now there are batteries that are up to 12 watts batteries. They're stronger, they last longer, but also they're super heavy. So, and these batteries are for around $1,000. So just to let you know that. And then I want to make sure that whoever is applying for this variance, that we have something in our name in writing, so we can carry in our vehicles. We will train our employees not to engage in any of these circumstances, but we need to have that security. It's not just like, well, we're not going to fine you, but there is a noise rule. And if we were using a gas blower, we're breaking the law. And I don't want that. We don't want that. So I'm requesting on behalf of myself and any other landscaper is applying for this to have a written variance paper that we can carry with us. And the last thing I want to do is ask Quiet Yards, where's that grant that you guys been talking about when you were running for the campaign?
Excuse me, if any comments can be made to the microphone, please, not
Yes.
each other.
Okay, so I want to know where's the grant? Is there any answer on that, on the grant, that when that they were going to help the landscapers offset the cost?
I have not seen it, but certainly they can speak to that.
Okay, so I would like to know where's that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, and appreciate your time.
Thank you, Roberto. Appreciate it. And we'll keep that one open. And the last one is Michael Sinisi and Son. I saw Dan left. You got to leave? Okay. We'll keep that open too. He was here. Okay, now we'll go to public comment. Ken?
Okay, yes, we had a sign up from Ms. Sophie Coven.
Good morning, Sophie.
Good morning. I can't believe I'm here speaking on this again. Sorry about that. In December of last year, Greenwich residents suddenly found themselves stripped of the protections of a town noise ordinance, and state law now applied, and it was much more lenient about allowing for all sorts of noisy activities, including construction, garbage collection, and leaf blowing. During that small space of time, it became clear that for businesses, the noise ordinance limits operations, and without the restrictions, they would work earlier and end work later. Sorry, I lost my.
Take it down.
There was a big public outcry in response to the increased noise, and the Board of Selectmen and the RTM came together to quickly pass a new noise ordinance. There was broad public consensus that it was appropriate to safeguard the public health, safety, and welfare of town residents by reinstating the town's noise ordinance that had been in place since 1984. The noise ordinance now includes a summertime ban on gas-powered leaf blows, something that has been discussed since the early 1990s and has been a matter of great public debate for the past 18 months, as we all know. Since the passage of the ordinance, local landscapers and residents have reorganized their businesses and their contracts in reliance on the new law. Many have purchased new electric blowers. Some landscapers have invested not only in equipment, but also in advertising and business promotion for their new, quieter practices. Now, 5 landscapers out of hundreds in the town have asked for a variance for the summertime ban. They explain that compliance will make their businesses less profitable. The laws of our town are adopted carefully and with much public discussion. Once they are in effect, they apply equally to everyone. Food delivery services cannot opt out of traffic rules in order to get more deliveries done. Restaurants cannot opt out of food safety regulations because that would reduce their overhead. Approving a variance for 5 landscapers out of hundreds would unfairly privilege those businesses to the detriment of all of the other landscapers and residents. Granting a variance to those 5 businesses would open the door to a flood of variance requests from other landscapers, construction companies, and garbage collection companies that would also like a variance from the town's noise ordinance. And I just want to mention, and Barbara Schlumberg spoke very clearly about what the requirement is for granting a noise ordinance variance, and it needs to be for the public health, safety, and welfare. That is the standard. America is a capitalist country full of entrepreneurs. Greenwich is a free market economy. Our town administrators should not be putting the thumb on the scale in favor of some businesses over others. Not only is this contrary to the American ethos of fair play, but it would open up the town to lawsuits for tortious interference with business. Businesses that would like to amend the noise ordinance can make that application through the RTM. Any changes would apply to everyone. That is the only fair and legal approach to this problem.
Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Svetlana Wasserman?
Good morning, Board of Selectmen.
morning.
And thank you so much for allowing me to speak. My name is Svetlana Wasserman. I wanted to first further provide clarification on the current rules. I know some of our landscapers are complaining about being harassed. The rules as written mean that gas leaf blowers cannot be used after 6 p.m. on May 24th. There are no penalties, but that doesn't mean that you can use them, nor that homeowners or neighbors are wrong for asking landscapers to stop using that equipment. Homeowners may call the police, and the police may come out, and the police will ask you to stop using your gas leaf blower. So just because there is a year before any fines are levied, that doesn't mean that you are not expected to comply. Second, I know there have been some claims made about increased costs for because of DOT requirements or insurance requirements. I would just ask that you please ask for proof of that. As I mentioned, there are 32 neighboring towns that have had these rules in place, some for over a decade. We found not a single example of a landscaper who's gone out of business from having to comply with the rules. So it's just important that, that you see any proof of these rules or costs before making decisions. Finally, I would just urge the Board of Selectmen not to grant these variance requests. The economic arguments that have been presented in the applications have been made repeatedly at the RTM. The RTM spent months deliberating over the gas leaf blower ban and made numerous compromises to accommodate the landscapers. The duration of the summer ban was shortened. It was originally supposed to be May 1, and it was moved to Memorial Day. There were also exemptions for properties over 2 acres that can start using gas leaf blowers after Labor Day. And landscapers have a full year before any fines begin. They've also been aware of this for over a year because the RTM has been deliberating on it and it's been out in the public. The compromise that the RTM passed was with overwhelming support. It was 81% in favor. I urge you not to override the rules passed by the RTM. I also urge you not to give an unfair advantage to these 5 landscapers over the dozens who are already making this change. If you look at the Quiet Yard social media feed, we have been posting pictures of all of the landscapers who are already working with electric equipment in Greenwich. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you, Svetlana. I just want to mention one thing. You mentioned that they were complaining that they were being harassed and that people had a right to do that. They don't. It's May 23rd. May 24th is that date. So the people who come out harassing are wrong, and they shouldn't be doing that. So I just want to correct that.
Yes, correctly. If people are making complaints before May 24th, then that is correct.
Which is absolutely happening. People who never complain are calling me. Guys who have been in business for decades, who are model citizens who volunteer, and they're trying, but we're just trying to let people know that, you know, if there's an issue, maybe it's us, we have to get the word out there a little bit more, but the day is the 24th, and if you see a landscaper out there after that with gas power, you can mention something to them, but just do so in a very polite way, and if there's back and forth, just call the police, and the same thing to landscapers, so that it doesn't escalate. We just don't need people fighting.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Jane Brash? And any more after?
No one else has signed up, no.
Okay,
Sorry, I didn't know, I couldn't find the sign up, so I just.
it's okay.
First, I just want to say, May 24th is tomorrow, right?
Yes. Yes.
Jane Brash, I just wanted to report that we have received many emails from residents whose landscapers already converted to electric, and they are very happy, and they are shocked at how much quieter it is. So just wanted to make sure you are aware of that. I was at Greenwich Country Club this morning, and they're using electric there, which was so nice, because I've been there before and it's so loud. Several of the neighborhood associations have already decided to enforce the ordinance, so even if landscapers ask for a variance, they may have to use electric in certain neighborhoods anyway. If you pass this variance, it's going to create chaos and confusion. I'm repeating a lot of these things. Let's see. Regarding the grant, first of all, it wasn't a grant. It was a rebate program. We were going to give a certain amount of money to landscapers who purchase an electric leaf blower. They don't have to turn in their gas leaf blower. What's happened, though, since a lot of our major donors have gotten wind that the landscapers are not going to comply, or they're asking for variances, a lot of them have said they're not going to give any money. So now we're down to, we are donating our own money, Quiet Yards Greenwich, just residents, to help landscapers. So that's where we are. That's the answer.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you, Jane. Okay, appreciate that. Eric Anderson, for a second time, you have to come up there.
Do I have to introduce myself again?
No, we got you.
All right,
We
so
got
there's
you.
just a couple things that I did not, mention, because I didn't think it was pertaining to me applying to the variance. But I just want to point out, again, how things get spun, that like there's 5 companies looking to, get an edge over everyone else. What I think it is you have 5 companies here that are, taking the steps to protect an industry. We're here helping our competition. They have, the opposition of this has a group of people, all, friends and same goal, and they could all work together towards it. It's, objectively look at it, you're asking a bunch of people who are in competition with each other to band together. It's not an easy feat. So the 5 companies here today are trying to, protect the industry, not trying to get an edge on anyone else. And as far as proof for, the cost of this, I just bought 2 new backpacks for one crew, $7,300. I have the receipt, the PO, and my email. I'll show it to anyone in this room. Come talk to me.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Okay.
I believe Elizabeth Dempsey wishes to speak online.
Good morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to, I didn't want to add further to what Sophie and Jane and Svetlana have already said. I did want to just give you a heads up that I have a landscaper who barely speaks English. He's the type of guy that you want to help out. He's he's been doing my property for 30 years. And when I approached him after the ban passed and asked him if he had heard about it, he had heard about it. He doesn't speak any English. He's not reading social media. He knew about this a long time ago not because I didn't discuss it with him, but these guys are aware. And when I discussed that the ban had passed, he immediately said, great, I'll go out and buy an electric backpack. And he did, and it was no problem. And this guy is a fraction. He only has 8 customers in Greenwich. He's a tiny little guy. And he was like, it's no problem. I'm happy to do it. So just wanted to let you know that there's a lot of people who are complying, and it's not a big deal. And the other thing I was going to say is that landscapers in your room today are already working in Westchester in the towns that have these bans and have had them for years. So this ground is already been trod on, it's all set, and it's amazing to see the letters of thanks from residents and the amount of landscapers who've reached out and said, hey, Elizabeth, will you promote me? I've done the conversion, here I am, and so we've done it. So it's been great. We're really thrilled about that. And we look to our neighbors to the left and right who have passed this, and frankly, across the country. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Appreciate that. Okay.
Before we move on, can I just ask some some
Sure.
process questions, and it's to help us.
Sure.
Our town attorney has been very clear that, and I'm anticipating that we will continue the hearings until the next meeting.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
In 3 weeks. When we close the hearings, then we have 10 days, 10 business days to issue an opinion, the three of us. And I just want to be clear about what the remit is.
Separate ones.
Separate ones, but nevertheless, I want to be clear about what the remit is to the three of us. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but the standard is very clear about why we can issue a variance. It's not for economic reasons. There have to be overriding safety and health reasons. And as I said, so far I have not heard an argument from a private landscaper why, for health and safety reasons, they must use any kind of leaf blower in the summer.
So the only thing I would add to that is that the standard is overriding interest affecting the public health, safety, and welfare. Welfare is kind of broad. I think that's up to you to determine if economic interests would fall into that category.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Thank you, Barbara. Kate, for a second time, you have to come up here. Thank you.
Good morning again.
Good morning. Still morning. We got another half hour.
Fred, my question is this, is that we know the industry is going this way, but to me, the health and safety is the batteries, the friction of them during the heat, when you're moving the machine, storing these batteries, transporting these batteries. I am not saying that we're not going to get there eventually, but the safety for us as the volume, it's not just one little battery, two little batteries in the garage of a homeowner, and it's relatively done. It's like literally a whole logistic in the background with fire safety, the investment. I mean, that safe that one guy, Giappetta, told us is $13,000, and it only holds 30 batteries. So there's some health and safety there.
Well,
And for fires and the investment of all that. So I go out tomorrow, I spend all that money, but then it's outdated. And so then that becomes, in our industry, I buy a lawnmower, and for my company, that lawnmower lasts quite a few years. For bigger companies that mow every day, maybe it's a little less. But so like, our equipment's not turning over every minute. So thank you.
Let me just clarify. I need to hear an argument why you need to use leaf blowers in the summer. So when our departments came,
A leaf blower is used in the summer just to clean up some minor tree debris that happens. All trees have seedlings at different times of the year, cleaning drains to prevent flooding. That's a big reason why we do it, cleaning off the tennis courts. I run on the track, and I'm at the high school, not this high school, but at other schools, and there's pencils, debris, there's glass, even though you're not supposed to have any glass on the track. So you just need to, you're not gonna hand sweep a track. That's 400 meters around. So in tennis courts, people like to play tennis courts, and not every tennis court's hard true. So I use a leaf blower to minor cleanups afterwards, primarily on the stone surfaces, during the summertime, and keeping drains clean.
okay, that's the argument I need to hear.
And I think, Kate, though, again, and I have both, and I have done landscaping in the past, so it's very different in the summer. So when you're blowing off things like a track or a tennis court, it's not like the shoulder seasons where there's heavy leaves, and in the spring you have a lot of cleanups from the winter. So I think that's what was a lot of the driver of this, is that the equipment doesn't have to be the same, the high-powered, gas-powered ones in the summer. I think that's part of it.
And I think we understand that, but the equipment that's available is coming out, they're quieter, they're gas. We don't have to worry about the whole battery logistics and the safety of batteries and the fire of batteries. And the amount of batteries we need for the whole day becomes a logical issue. And the safety of that, the safety of driving around the town and the DOT compliances and all that, the scale of what landscapers are coming to you about is a concern.
With the DOT compliance, though, other towns have done it before us, so how did they get around that?
Their DOT's right now set up in North Lewsbury Park right now, pulling over people. So the DOT is very much active. We get notifications of where they are all day long. So that's a jumping. It's a challenge. I drive separately with a few batteries, and that becomes more expensive for the clients. But again, I'm a smaller scale, so a larger scale will have different issues. So it's a learning curve. It's an adjustment learning curve. So the health and safety and why we need to do it is just clean up minor debris, tree debris, keeping those drains clean for the flooding. That's what we're going after. We know it's shifting. We're just trying to get the variance and understanding and not getting this harassment yelling and, oh, you're compliant, so your picture will be on our website. I mean, come on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good afternoon.
You too, Kate. Thank you. Chris Mancini for a second time?
Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay, not at all. You took time out from work, so you got the floor.
To answer your question about DOT, if you're running commercial vehicles that are registered with DOT, they do come to your shop to do spot checks to make sure of fire extinguishers, safety equipment, stuff like that. So we are regulated that way, so when
they've
they
been
come
doing
to
it.
my shop and they take a look at all the trucks to make sure that I have safety equipment in there, Band-Aids, all that stuff like that, fire extinguishers, and they notice that there's electric equipment in there, that's where it becomes a problem. I'm not trying to evade the situation with not buying backpack blowers that are battery operated. I'm asking for time to do it right. Because the reality of this is I don't have 8 homes, okay? And it isn't a wonderful world where he's doing the job on 8 homes. The reality of this is at any spectrum of it, I can be fined heavy for it, not unless it's done right. That's the reason I'm asking to have more time with this. I'm not trying to beat the system. I just want to be able to say, okay, DOT isn't going to give me a $10,000 fine. Fire marshal isn't going to give me a $10,000 fine. State of Connecticut Deep isn't going to give me a $10,000 fine. That's what I'm asking for.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, Roberto Fernandez for a second time. If you have heard the point, I'm just going to ask you to please refrain if you haven't. If it's new, that's fine.
What is it that we need to blow in the summer? Tennis courts, driveways, hardscape. So is dirty. Why? Because our customers are requesting a type of work that they want the property pristine. Gas blower does the job. You know, electric blowers is a cost. It's going to take longer, and then we have to carry multiple batteries. So there's other equipment out in the industry in the ultra quiet gas blowers there that we are testing it. And I think before next year it would be great to, Fred, get together with the professional landscapers and see what have you tried, what things can be changed, because there are different techniques and different things that can happen. Small properties, Old Greenwich, Riverside, probably there's no need to use a blower there. Use a garden hose. You know, move around the dirt on the patios. But and then on the hazard, and the dangers is the batteries. Heavier, they can ignite, and the storage, where you're gonna, and especially with the temperatures in the summer, you know when they're charging, they produce a lot of heat. Now we need to put climate control storage, more cost. There's cost here. They keep saying there's no cost. But for me, and I show it to the RTM, at $159,000 cost, initial cost for batteries and blowers for all my crews. I need to take a loan for that? It's impossible. So yes, certain people are going to get hurt from this.
Okay, thank you, Roberto. Okay, one
Leave
more.
Elizabeth Dempsey, we should speak again online.
Okay, yeah, okay. Well, Svetlana had her hand up, so you, Elizabeth, you're on deck. Svetlana for a second time, and then Elizabeth for a second time after that.
Time me at 1 minute.
That's okay.
I just want to mention, first of all of these arguments have been made to the RTM and have been litigated there, and I don't think that they should be relitigated here at the Board of Selectmen. Second point, we will send you, there have been dozens and dozens of studies about the health problems of gas leaf blowers. It is actually shocking to listen to people argue that a battery is somehow more dangerous than a machine that's filled with gas stored in a wooden shed. We will send you these studies, which talk about the 30% of fuel that's released from gas leaf blowers as fine particulates that float in the air for hours and pass through our bloodstream into our lungs directly, that are linked to cancer, to heart disease, the noise that's linked to hearing loss and tinnitus. We will send you these studies because when you're listening to these claims that somehow batteries pose a health threat, you need to look at it in the context of the dozens and dozens of studies that have been done about gas leaf blower emissions. Thank you.
Thank you, Svetlana. Elizabeth, and then Lauren. Elizabeth, you could unmute.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we could hear you.
Okay, so sorry. Great. Yeah, just building on what Svetlana said, I would also say if the Board of Selectmen is really contemplating relitigating this whole topic of the arguments that have gone through the RTM, I would suggest that there should be a higher standard of the similar requirements, that these claims are backed up by data. For example, we've actually talked to fire marshals in Westchester County to ask about problems with towns that have been doing this for 10 years and whether there's been any battery blowups. And we haven't found any. We haven't found any evidence that landscapers have gone out of business. We've asked for that with all these claims, and we've never gotten anything. But the point I was going to make was, if you're going to slam electric batteries, then why not provide the data of the cost savings and how much gas you spend from a welfare perspective in fueling them up? And we've asked for that, and we've got no comparison. So if you're going to look at welfare, look at apples to apples. Look at safety concerns. What about heat, extreme heat, and storing gas in storage facilities? So let's do that. And also, why not look at hybrid cars that are rolling down the highway with gas and electric batteries that are at far greater quantities than a landscaper uses? So we need to have everyone talk apples to apples, and we have a lot of data to provide you, and we ask you to hold each side to the same standards. I also want to suggest that if I had no idea that promoting landscapers who have asked me to post on our site, that have converted and are excited about it, how that's harassment. I don't get that at all, and I will continue to do that. I think it's great to show that, and I'm sorry that they're disappointed that those brethren that have done the conversion and are ready for the summer, why that's harassment. I think that is positive. I think it's exactly what this town wanted, and I'm very excited about the progress that has been made. Thanks.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And I just wanted to, I think, a clarification. I think they weren't mad at you. I think they're very happy that you're doing that. That's positive. I think they were referring to people coming out of the houses and yelling and posting things on websites, not yours. Just going on Greenwich connections and things like that. So that's where I think they're talking about. I don't think they were referring to you, but so thank you for your positive postings. Lauren.
Hi.
Hi.
Identify yourself for the record, please.
Lauren O'Keefe. I just wanted to say, she was talking about the studies that she's very happy to give you. The studies were very extensive and presented to the Board of Health a year or so ago and were looked into, and the Board of Health declined on their presentation as the studies were not scientific enough. Secondly, you guys approved the variance for the town. The landscapers should get the variance as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lauren. Okay, I don't see any more hands.
I believe Elizabeth wants to speak one more time.
Elizabeth, for a third time.
Okay. Never a dull moment. So, Lauren, would be great if you could point out what scientific entities would satisfy the leadership of Greenwich, be it the Board of Health or not. If you provide scientific studies from NIH, from CDC, from WHO, from Harvard School of Public Health, from the EPA, let me know why those standards don't work for you, why they're not considered scientific enough. Even on PubMed, which is what your Dr. Gamble suggested that I find, we have scientific reports for that. So if there's a scientific body that is higher than those entities and our university researchers, please kindly let me know, because I'm so sorry it didn't meet the standards of the Department of Health and the Board of Health. Thanks.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, I think we've heard some good points on both sides here. I don't see any more hands, so I think we will move on from that. The hearings are still open, and we will certainly, we have our standards that we have to hold to when deciding this, but we appreciate both sides for their comments and for taking time out from work today to join us, so thank you. All right. Are there any appointments or nominations?
Not today.
Okay.
Is there anyone, no one signed up for public comment, period.
No,
No one's raised their hand.
We've had that.
Yeah,
We've had that. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Lauren Rabin, so moved.
Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
That was just.
We just did that.
Oh, I thought it was just about that subject.
You have to sign up.
Yeah, did you sign up?
No.
All right, wait. All right, yeah. That's it. We're going back to what we used to do at the beginning because it got a little chaotic with certain people. So we're going back to signing up just to keep it orderly. So.
Oh, only sign-ups?
Yeah, because we have to, because otherwise we try not to, we're trying to, but sorry about that.